And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing the 556 buff that BSG recently implemented this week, where they went ahead and decreased the recoil on a bunch of NATO 556 guns.
And next, there has been an interesting new secret Twitch category added to Twitch for streaming various games. Potentially something around Arena. We will see. But anyway, that's potentially interesting. Who knows? Then we'll be talking about the player stats, because there was a little poll done, which is always interesting to just kind of measure where people are in the wipe and making yourself not feel quite so bad if you haven't progressed super far yet in this wipe so far.
And then lastly, we're going to be celebrating our YouTube partner on the ScavTalk YouTube channel. Yay! It's really cool. So,
it is cool.
Yeah, dude. I guess we roll straight into the buffs, man. When did this buff happen? Was it like a Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah, I think it might have been Monday, because I think I had a quick look and it was the 18th. So it was a couple of days after last ep, and so we've had a little bit of time to digest what has happened and whether it's made that much difference. And obviously, like I did something on it as well, and then I've been using it a bit more, because you don't really know until you actually try it and use it in raid.
Yeah,
it's that funny thing of EFT where it's like, we've had some like changes to these recoils, it's going to fix everything, and then you try to play a raid. The first one, you don't even get to fire a shot, someone shoots you in the head. The second one, you catch someone off guard, so you'd have killed them regardless of what the recoil was, and you're just like, is this really an adequate test? I know, it's one of those things where it kind of just like
it's so good now.
Yeah, it's like it solidifies in your mind where it's like the weapon doesn't really matter that much, guys. Like it's fine. But anyway, I've been testing a bunch. Apparently the BSG hate the MDR. Apparently, it's the only 556 weapon that didn't get a buff.
Yeah, I guess they were scared to buff it. Perhaps, I don't know.
I mean, I was speculating, thinking they were looking at the stats, going, "Oh, well, this one's already got 85 base recoil."
Right.
So this one surely doesn't need a buff. And just like, but there's no stock. The stock doesn't. The whole bullpup problem, the usual problem. I feel like I talk about the bullpup problem like every other video. And I'm just like hybrid 46 folks, and that's so every single time. I think it's partly also because of the way they work. I end up using those weapons quite a bit. So
yeah. Oh wait, what do you mean the way they work?
Well, because they already have good recoil, you don't need to do anything.
Right. Yeah,
They're like really good in the mid game because the recoil starts off good.
Yes.
I end up using like a combination of like the MDR and the RFB, and they're both kind of in that category. And it's like, well, you can just put whatever you like on, it doesn't matter. Just focus on ergo. Like it's okay. You can put, not that many guns can accept a hybrid 46 and be all right with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Very few. That's kind of the one reason I like the AK 545 by 39 AKs early wipe, because like the like base level suppressors, like if you want to suppress it, you can use the hexagon, you can use the PS-1, PBS-1, PSB-4, whatever. But then you could also put the hybrid on, which like is pretty decent. Like, you don't get like the best recoil reduction. I think you lose out by like one vertical recoil or something compared to some of the other options. But you're trading that for like 7 ergo difference. It's like kind of nice to have like a higher ergo AK. So yeah, it's nice to have that use for that suppressor, because like in theory it's kind of a cool suppressor. It can go in any caliber, but when you have like all the pickings to choose from, usually you just pick the better one or the most value one, so it's hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tricky one because 556 kind of like needs that recoil reduction, and so you can't use the hybrid because you can't put it on there. Whereas on the AKs, all the suppressors are awful, so it doesn't really matter because you don't have that double combo, except for the waffle. Like the waffle suppressor is the only one that gives you that like double,
right?
And yeah, which is pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. It's been an interesting one. I think the G36 is now, that's probably the one most in focus because we are still trying to figure out where that's going to fit into the meta. It's a bit of a weird thing.
It's still so bad.
It's the ergo, I think.
I used it. Yeah, that's what I think too.
And it's very restrictive with modding too. So until you get to Peacekeeper 3, you can't even like see the stuff because it's like each barrel goes with the specific hand guard. So it's kind of funky, right? It's like
And
long barrel goes with the 6 vent, medium barrel goes with
yes.
the 4 vent, short
Ugh.
barrel goes with the 2 vent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you
And
can't
then
really buy those parts, right? Like I don't
until
I've
Peacekeeper 3.
yeah, and no one sells them. Like I can't like I saw one listing for a particular event. I think it was the 4-slot event, but it was they were asking like 70K. So it's like that's never going to happen, you know.
Yeah, and that's the annoying thing because until you get there, you actually can't then
Right.
even try the builds out, which was the thing that irritated me because I was still stuck behind flash drives and I was just like, I just want to see the builds. I want to see what they're
Yeah.
like. But I think maybe they are. My suspicion is that they're missing out of the weapon like parts of loot pool or something, and people are only
Perhaps.
getting them in generic bags or
Or
something. You know, where you
scav
can get
cave.
everything. Yeah, or scav case or something where you
Right.
can get any loot, something along those lines. So it ends up being super rare, even though they're just like they're not that great. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny. It's really weird. And then you've got the long one, which you can only put on the bipod. The bipod
Right.
does nothing, but then it increases it improves the recoil and makes the ergo better. So, but then it looks like super unwieldy, and the whole thing's just freaky. But I don't know. I think it's all the G36 is kind of okay as a budget gun. I think. But it's on the basis that everyone thinks that it's awful and that it's cheap on the flea, right? Like I think I'm going to go and look now because I was looking the other day, and you could
They
buy
have
new
come
ones at
down.
100%. Yeah, because I think people have just given up on it. You could buy new ones at 100% the other day for like 39K. Let me see, it's probably more expensive than that now.
Dude.
Okay, it's like 50K now, 50K at the moment. But I've seen them under 40 in like
Yeah.
EU hours. I was like, oh god, this gun's like no one is buying it. This is terrible. It's almost like mechanic level. Just sell it straight to him.
That was yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. Because that's as low as it can possibly go within reason, right? Like sure, some person out there is going to sell in the flea market and lose money if he just sold the mechanic. Maybe they want to raise their fleet rep and they'll make that trade, whatever. But
yeah, I don't know what it is actually. I don't know what the mechanic price is for it, but it's got to be around there.
I think it's like 38,000. I think
fine.
like the stock standard full length 336. But I bought one last night because I was looking at builds again to sort of check out the changes. And yeah, it's just big sad, man. I came up with a build because here's the problem for me is like because the stock standard 6 vent, the full length G36E or whatever, you can't put on a laser device.
Yeah,
which
is
is
no rails or anything on the side. Yeah. Or can you put it on the top? I think you can put a laser on the top rail at the front, but you have to put on one of those funky ones.
Yeah, I guess you could do that.
And then it blocks the sight if you've got the sight there. And
big fan of that. I really like my right side. You did do it.
Me too. But yeah, no, I did exactly that because I had the top rail and then I had the Nightfall scope, but then I had to get the worst optic, like the rings, because they were higher, so then I could fit something on the front and I could still see the top of it like flat in the TAC 30, and I was like, this just kind of feels nasty. I don't know.
Yeah, and then it's like now you're using a suboptimal setup because that's the other part I don't like either is the freaking top rail. Like the rail sits so high because it's got to get over the charging handle, because the charging handle is like where the top top rail normally would be on any other regular gun. It's like this weird, it looks pretty cool because it like bends and then comes backwards like a latch. But anyways, it's I like I said, I came up with a build. I did see, this is a bit of a side tangent, but I did see the mini monster suppressor, the one you use for gunsmith, I think, or you can use for gunsmith 4.
Yeah.
It has like one of the lowest ergo reductions for a suppressor. There's a new barter for it for the VSH tape, that new item. And you can get it for about, assuming VSH tapes don't go up in price, it was like 33,000 rubles. Because I've always been a fan of the mini monster. It's just kind of a very niche suppressor. But anyway, so like I did a build with that on like the long G36 with the 3x crappy sight, because I just figured, you know, let's just try to like a little bit of meme, a little bit of like efficiency on pricing, you know, try to make this thing work. I'm gonna test it out eventually, but then I was like, I'm pretty sure I could build an M4 that does this but better for like the same
Yeah.
amount of rubles, and it was a little bit more rubles, but it had like way more ergo. And I don't know. So then I was like, well, what about the MDR? And then like MDR, yeah, you can. It doesn't like. This is the other weird part is even though the vertical recoil is like worse on the G36, for the MDR, to me it feels better, and I think that's because of the convergence stat. It comes back to center faster, but the G36 has less horizontal stray, so like it's almost like they both have like crappy features to them, you know, and it's like you gotta like choose. I don't know. It's tough, but for me, bottom line, I think the G36 just like you just can't make it work in any reasonable fashion, because even if you do buy, I feel like if you wanted to do like a 4-vent mod or like a 2-vent mod, you know, like one of the shorter barrels, you have to buy them from Peacekeeper, which he has a fixed price, so it's going to be more expensive, and you're not really getting anything that good. Like it doesn't. You're losing out on recoil. You're gaining a little bit of ergo. Yeah, you get like a laser here and there. I don't know, man. It just seems like it's just kind of a not worth. But anyways, I ran enough about that.
I know what you mean. I mean, for me, it's just an ergo question. Like, there's really nothing you can do. I've tried a few different builds as well. And there's very little that you can do, and actually have all right ergonomics. That's the thing. If you're suppressed, that's the deal.
Right.
And 506 just doesn't really work unsuppressed because of the combos, as we said before. So, I mean, yeah, you could go for like the PWS or something, and then the ergo's like okay, but I mean, what's the best? You need like the Bulletech or something. That's like the Bulletech one is the best one.
Yeah.
On its own, because you can't do jailbreak or anything on this thing.
Right.
So you just have to go Bulletech, and that gets you to like you can get to what? Let's see. You do this one. This is like the middling build, and this was the Cobra. It's like 50 ergo and 61 vertical recoil, which I guess is probably okay.
It's okay.
I guess it's kind of okay.
But that's the thing is like you could just get an MDR have way more ergo for like the same price. Like it's just like I mean, yeah, it doesn't shoot as fast. To me, it like kind of handles better.
So the MDR handles way better, but I think I do think that's the thing. It does fire quite quickly, and you can make if you wanted an M4. I feel like the M4 is now still way better at the top end. I think I think there's a place for everything. So it's like the MDR has got really high ergo.
Mm-hmm.
It has good handling, kind of out the box, but you can't ever make it like insane.
Right.
That's fine. The Scar L has got really good handling, and it's got great horizontal recoil, but then the ergo kind of suffers. Okay, fine. You can go for the AK-101 or the 102. I think they're actually very, very similar, honestly, because they don't really suffer for ergo anyway, and you normally run them on suppress. You can run them suppressed, but you don't absolutely have to, because you can kind of choose between the 545 world or the AK world and the 506 world. So it's kind of cool because you get like a really, really wide sort of thing. That's got like average handling, but you can make the 101 recoil really good and relatively cheaply. And then you've got the G36, which is like, okay, well, it's cheap, but fires like an M4 because it's 750 RPM. So you've got like really good CQB. But then the ergo problem does make it kind of suck. So maybe you just like run that unsuppressed and run it in CQB instead of like an M4 that you're going to make on a budget. And then the M4 you run at like 28 recoil and make like a really expensive one that's super fast firing, but the recoil's actually kind of decent. And then the HK you just put in the bin because it's still rubbish. That's kind of my like short rundown. That's how I feel about it. So I think there is a place. I think there is a place for the G36, but I think it's very niche. I think it's you need to want to have to take the time to kill advantage over getting shots on target. Now that means that you're either like tap firing it at range, or you're full autoing someone at like 2 feet. Those are kind of your two ranges, and there I think it's actually probably okay-ish.
Yeah,
but it's not a general use gun.
This is the conundrum for me, because if you take the G36 and you go for the long version, you can't put a laser on it, so I feel like I'm losing out on the close quarter combat advantage, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, as I said, you can put it on the top, but then it makes it kind of
I
a
guess
bit
it's
goofy
true.
to
Yeah.
build. You can put it on the top. It's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've been playing around with it. I do think the buffs to 5601 makes these weapons kind of nice. It's like a compounding effect of like they're still not gonna compete late game. Everyone's still gonna use BP, everyone's still gonna use M80 and M62 and then M61. There's no real question about that. But it does help a little bit in the mid game because I don't know, were we talking I don't think did we talk about this last time? I'm not sure, but the fact that the frag chance is so high on 56
Yeah.
and the base damage is so high,
Yeah.
it can, even if you just spray somebody down, you can really kill them quite quickly. I had a situation where I think I was using M4 and it was on interchange and it was kind of early on, and I just kept peppering this dude from a decent distance and ended up killing him with like a leg shot or something. Eventually, just flesh damaged the guy to death because the thing does, 50 was it? What's 56?
Is it 59 or
is it 50? I don't think it was that high. I think it's like 54 or something.
57?
God, let me look. It is 54. It's 54.
Okay.
But because it's got a 33% chance to frag,
Right.
it ends up being kind of nasty, right? Because it's coming out of out of a 5.56 weapon, and 33% of the time it ends up doing 81 damage instead. So it's like getting hit with an M80 like every third shot, which is, I mean, it's big. It's big. It makes a big difference to the averages, It makes a big difference to the averages, especially if you're just like spraying at somebody.
So I just unlocked. I just did Cult Part 1 last night. So I just got 6A1. So I haven't used a lot of 6A1. I'm assuming you have.
Sort of. I mean, I was late on Peacekeeper, as I said, so it did take me a while to get there. But I've been using it a lot recently, and with lots of different guns.
So, I guess to circle back to the beginning, with your experience, how do you feel these? Because we've seen a lot of busts of 5.56 over this like 2-3 weeks of the wipe. I guess pushing 4 weeks now. Yeah, what do you think? Is it good? Question mark.
It's so difficult to say. I think it probably is good. I think it probably is good in this particular period. I think there's an overlap time where you want to be using or at least me, I want to be using 5.6A1 rather than using like 5.45 PP. I feel like I've like upgraded from 5.45 PP because I've kind of gone through this, level 1 trash guns. I've used 5.45 PP for like ages. 74U and 74N. They've just basically taken me from level 15 through to level 25 pretty much. And from that point, I've then gone, okay, finally got Peacekeeper unlocked. Now I think 56A1 does beat PP quite convincingly, I think. Although you can mod the guns quite well. The one, it's funny because with all the buffs, the gun that I do the best with is normally the MDR, and that's the one that didn't take any buffs because it's still good. It's already good. It's already such a good gun.
But the ammo got buffed, so.
But the ammo got buffed, and I think that makes a difference. Yeah, I just did the quick like piece of maths. It's like it's just shy the average. If you just spray someone randomly and just hit like random limbs, and not including like black damage or multiplication or anything like that, like the average damage of 5.6A1 is actually 62.9 as a pure average, rather than because of the frag chance, which is pretty high.
Yeah,
even 54 is pretty high for like a regular round. It's pretty good. I mean, 7.62 BP deals 58. So the damage is pretty gnarly, and people are running class 4, so
yeah,
it's good.
What's the pin on it again?
Is 37.
Okay,
so it's bang on the 50%
right
pen chance for the class 4. I feel that the choice now is the interesting choice now is whether you go 5.6A1, take the extra damage, and your efficiency against class 4 starts to reduce over distance, or whether you then tick up to BT, which now has 40 pen, but it has quite a bit lower damage. So 5.6A1, if it penetrates, almost always kills people in 2 shots to the thorax. But BT will always pen class 4, basically. But it only does 42 damage. It's quite a lot lower.
I mean, historically, I usually skip out on M4s until like the very high 30 levels. Once you can start really modding these things down. And I've never really liked 56A1 that much, but that was a long time ago. A lot of stuff's changed since then. So I may want to give it a try.
I've gone down that route a few wipes. I then don't go down that route when I get stuck. You know, it usually takes me a while, but I've started using it now, and it's been okay. It's been pretty good because most people are still running class 4.
Most people,
except for this one like mad fight that I had with this guy, and he was just like, it was a random stash by bus station on customs, and he was like shooting at me with this pistol. We both like bumped into each other around the stash, and he just starts like shooting his pistol. I like fully unload with my 545 PP'd AK-74U because they just keep coming back in insurance. So I keep feeling compelled to run them on kind of budget questing runs. Just run them over and over again. They're like ultimate boomerang. But anyway, so like unload into this guy, reload, unload into him again. I'm just like, what is going on? This guy's like just continuing shooting at me with like the M9. I'm like, what is happening? This is insane. I like run away to heal and run back in, just like spray into this bush randomly and finally kill him, go over to him. He's like found a slick in his stash. I was like, okay, that explains.
I was gonna say he's gotta be like a Zuck or a slick or something.
Yeah, he's just like absorbed, all my PP bullets into his slick. Just like your hatred just empowers me, kind of thing. It was very, very weird. It was very weird. But yeah, so look, I don't know. I don't think it makes a massive difference. Some people are saying like the M4's fixed now, it's so great. Because the best in slot recoil build has gone from 28 to 26. And I'm like, look, guys,
right. It's very minuscule.
That's not gonna make much difference. Like on a percentage basis, like sure, it's 26 over 28. Like what is that on like a percentage basis? It's like 7% better or something, but I just don't know if that really makes a difference on full auto. Like I haven't been able to compare them, but my gut instinct is that it just doesn't matter that much because it's more about the return to center time and that kind of thing for full auto, and less about the individual recoil, because individual recoil points apparently get diminished when you're in full auto, as I did with my testing. Because remember when I tried to model the recoil profile, and I just tried it in a basic way, saying like, what happens if you just, because there was a theory going around that each round. So there was, let me try to think about how a succinct way to put this without going like round the houses too much and going like 3 steps back. So there was a theory, and it actually works, right? Where you shoot one round and then you hold the button down, because the return to center of round 1 is in the down, it counteracts the up from the subsequent set of bullets that you send out, and you don't get the initial jump, right? So I've seen this just a few times, and it does actually work. And so the suggestion from that was that like, okay, well maybe every round has its like, little profile of it takes the gun up and it takes the gun back down again, right? So maybe it has, each round is its own thing, and all you're doing is overlapping them. Well, I tried doing that in like a little sort of spreadsheety thing. But the problem there is you get the up, but then it just stays there. You never get the down again. You never get the auto control compensation feature. And so the only conclusion you can really come to there is that at some point, the actual individual recoil between shots goes down. Otherwise, you wouldn't get this flatten off of the pattern. So that's a really long way of saying that I don't think going from 28 to 26 matters, because it's probably more like going from 13 to 14 or something, because like when you're in the full auto spray pattern, the actual recoil number matters. That's more about these other parameters and about RPM and stuff like that. So I don't think it matters too much. But I mean, it is. In fairness, just the one last thing I'll say on my monologue. In fairness, I started using M905 like fully modded M4s in the events at the end of last wipe, and it actually felt all right. Like if you build the fully modded thing, and it's super expensive, right? It's not really worth building because it's so expensive. But if you do and you build it to 28 recoil or whatever, it feels good. It honestly feels pretty good. So if you just spend 300,000 rubles, it feels all right. It's not that bad. Yeah, and then you can use the ammo that can't one tap, a radio in the head or whatever. So like this is where the whole thing kind of unravels.
So yeah, I mean that makes sense. Like the only thing I would say is there is a bit of a nice thing if you're doing a lot of like sniping with that ammo, that gun. Having the lower recoil makes it nice for single tapping consecutive shots, because it returns like the vertical recoil isn't as high. You don't lose sight picture as much. But I definitely That's interesting because that's how the pistols work. What you were saying earlier, how it goes up and then it's returning down. If you shoot while it's returning down, it sort of like counteracts. They like the two forces negate each other in a way, which is like exactly how the pistols work. Like if you from the video airing we did on pistol recoil,
the pistols one, yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, it's like if you shoot at a certain rate of fire, a certain rhythm, cadence, you get more shots on target versus like just spamming it out where sometimes they go low. It's weird. But anyways,
yeah, it is funny because like the pistols have like such high numbers. They've got huge numbers for recoil, but then they have huge numbers for like return to center time too. And you end up with this thing where it's almost like it comes up and then it overcompensates and comes back. And if you end up firing as fast as you physically can, it looks like you're shooting straight, but you're actually shooting down on every shot. And it's like really weird.
It is very weird. Very weird.
Yeah.
So
it's very, very weird.
I did want to ask you, have you used the RD? This isn't related to, it's kind of related to 5.56, but have you used the RD 704 at all?
I haven't. I've only seen videos on it.
Okay. So I did get to use it yesterday.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering, I mean, it's expensive, but I'm just wondering if like, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to see what kind of budget build you could do. Because the thing I saw, I can't remember from who, but someone, maybe it was Jesse, he did a video about it. And he was like, you know, if you refresh on the flea market, sometimes you'll find a brand new one under what Skier's selling it for like 100,000 rubles. Because I think he sells it. Is it Skier 3? No, it's Mechanic 3.
I'm just looking now. Apparently, Mechanic sells it for 115k.
Yeah,
I'm literally looking at the moment. So,
and I believe that's Mechanic 3, unless they've changed it, but I could be wrong. But nonetheless,
I think so because I didn't have it before. But there's somebody just put one up for like 105.
There you go,
100%, and it's gone now. But yeah,
I saw one last night and they were gone quick. But anyways, it's kind of interesting because the gun already. Like it's kind of like an MDR. You don't have to do a lot to it. Like out of the box, it comes with a really good pistol grip. I think it's like plus 12 ergo. You can't change the handguard. That's all like baked into it basically. You just need a grip, a muzzle device. I mean, maybe you could use the stand. I don't think the standard one's that great, and I'm not sure. I'm thinking you could do the Thunder Beast barter. You can get the suppressor from Skier, which is a boss hat and 2 caps, which I think is like around 40k, 30k, depending on what prices are at. It's kind of you gotta like really like get the components while they're cheap, but I think you could do something like that. Get a decent suppressor on there, because this is the thing: the gun has really high ergo, and you take the stock. You just take everything out. You buy a VPO 209 stock and rubber butt pad, and you get better. I think you get like it's better than the Mo, in my opinion. Like you can do a Mo combo, and it's not this. The rubber butt pad combo has better recoil. Like you don't get as high ergo, but you get way better. Like recoil is all you really care about.
This is really interesting because normally you don't get to choose between the AK stocks and the M4 stocks. Oh, well, I'm saying that. You do, but no one ever does it because you can only do it on the AKs, because the AK stocks, to compensate for the fact that the AKs have terrible recoil at the beginning, the stocks are like way better to make up for it. Mm-hmm. And so normally on the M4s or whatever, like you don't get the opportunity to add an AK stock. And so it's never normally a thing. So yeah, so if you do, I'm just like looking at one now. So you can put on the Thunder Beast, the AFG M-Lock, and the butt pad with a stock. I honestly haven't really looked at this yet. And the Bastion, and that gets you 51 ergo and 57 vertical recoil. Like I haven't added an optic, but I mean I've got the crappy AK-55 mag on, which is like -4 ergo, and it's still at 51, which is kind of nutty.
I mean, and
you can put the Zhukov on there.
If you're
10 more ergo, my god.
If you're Mechanic 3, you could probably just do the meta 308 suppressor. Actually, you get that CAC muzzle and the CAC suppressor from Peacekeeper. Pretty sure you could do the meta one and be good.
It is expensive, that though.
Is it?
I mean, that combo is just so it's always just pricey. You can get it early, as you're saying. You can get it quite early, but it's just really expensive.
It's just pricey. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the issue. It's like $586 from Peacekeeper for the Espresso. So it's like 60k. I guess it's not that much. It's not like
Yeah,
terrible.
but like at that point, you might as well do the Zukov, right?
Yeah.
And just go. You might as well just go full meta at that point.
And it's 61 ergo and 48 vertical recoil. It's
Which
Zukov
is
and the PRS QDC and an AFG M-Log, which
really
is pretty
good.
Pretty good. Especially with how this gun handles.
Yeah. Because it's interesting because normally on the like the Mutant, for example, you can't put any fixed stocks on it. And the RD704, you can put a fixed stock on it, but it comes stock standard with a buffer tube adapter. So most people kind of like don't really think about that side of it. And anyways, I've been using the rubber butt pad combo. It feels pretty good. It does got a little bit of a kick, but it's pretty good. And I just can't help but wonder, 5.6A1 versus this. I don't know. The gun is expensive. I'm just not sure. But because PS is still pretty good. Yeah, it's still pretty good, man. Like freaking 3510.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's crazy.
It's not bad, but that's the funny thing, isn't it? It's like, and I think that's almost a better point as to showcase just how close the 5.56 platform is getting, right? So you have to buy a really expensive gun to get that good level of recoil, right? It's like you can buy an MDR and you can fit it out for the base price of the RD. So 760 PS is 57 damage and 35 pen now, and then 5.56 M856A1 is 54. It's like 3 less damage and 2 more pen. Like it's 56A1 is a good round.
Yeah, for $4
especially when it fires out of when it fires out of an MDR or Scar L.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a try. Like I said, historically, I've just kind of like, I don't know if I got burnt out on it or burned on it. Like, you shoot some guy a bunch of times, he doesn't die, or the RNG wasn't your favor, or he ricocheted, or whatever, but I'll have to give it a go. Because I have a G36 built, I have a MDR built in my stash because I was testing it last night. So I guess I'll have to put those to use. Yeah,
I don't know. I think people are better off sticking with MDR AK-101 a Scar L, in my opinion. I think that's really where the value is at. Basically, you want the 650 RPM guns. You want the ones that have the good recoil control. MDR, if you want to go in like a bit closer and you want something to like sweep corners and do dorms, and it's good in CQB as well. And the high ergo really works with that.
Or even sniping too, man. With that high ergo.
Sniping too is good. I did a little bit of sniping with it, and it was good. I mean, they were all quite good for that. Then the Scar L is just like really good for medium range engagements, just because it's a proper laser beam. And the horizontal recoil is really low, so it's just like stays on target like crazy. But the ergo is not amazing, so you probably want to use that on a map like Lighthouse. I think is better because you're kind of fighting around rocks, and you're probably at 20 meters. Like you're never like face to face with somebody on Lighthouse, or like woods. Like as a routine gun on woods, I actually think it's probably pretty good. Like you get a little bit more time. Other people are running bolties and maybe some semi-auto guns. You get a little bit of time to bring up an ADS, but you can full auto people with this Scar like no problem. And then the AK-101, if you want to go. Well, you want a bit more flexibility and have really high bullet velocity, because that thing is it's nippy, very fast rounds. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's decent. I'm still kind of flitting back and forth between AK-74 for like cheap stuff, just like cheap runs, and then those guns for better, something slightly better if I want to go and do real quests, like in inverted commas. I've still got.
What's a real quest?
I don't know. I mean, it's like normally I keep having to use the SVD, unfortunately. But just things like killing players in dorms or office kills. I did actually do a lot of that with the 74U, but just anything that involves like killing players or going to like dangerous places. That I tend to use like 5.6, and then anything that's go and mark a stupid thing in customs or whatever, that's like 74U territory, because it's just the boomerang guns, they just keep coming back.
So out of those two categories, which one's the real quest and which one's not?
It's the real quest of the killing players quest. They're the killing players quest. The silly quest, just like sprint down into Sawmill and grab a document from under a bed while everyone shoots at you from 300 meters around you. Those are the silly quests. Those get the 74U treatment.
I see. Good stuff.
Indeed. Cool. So yeah, I think that probably covers the 5.56. I'm going to keep testing it, keep checking it out. if it makes any difference. I keep getting forced to use different guns. Like I said, I'm like
That's the
flicking
annoying
back and
part
forth
too,
between
right?
Punisher 6. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to use the SVD and that kind of thing. So we'll see. It's gonna probably become one of my more like staples, I guess, when I do more of the shoreline quests. I've not really been into resort yet, so those ones I'll probably just MDR it up because I do like doing that. So we'll see. So yeah, using the gun that didn't get the buffs, as I said before, it's unfortunate. Maybe I'll use the 101 or something. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. Next up, a new Twitch category appeared, or at least people have noticed it now.
Yeah.
I've seen a little bit of stuff about this a few places. I saw some posts today, but I wasn't sure. I think I'd seen it somewhere else as well. I hadn't really paid attention. But anyway, there was a new Twitch category for game on the platform where you can select Escape from Tarkov Arena, which is kind of cool. So, I mean, we know Arena's coming anyway because we've been told. So it's it's not really big news or anything, but it's interesting that they've already got Twitch to kind of support that. It shows that they're at least putting in some of the legwork in the back end, which I think is kind of cool. And they're thinking about it more as well. I guess, who knows, maybe it's Reach saying that they're thinking about it as more of like esporty, whatever. But we know that they are, and it's important to have it on Twitch. And I'm sure the BSG are very aware of the fact that a lot of the growth of Tarkov is down to Twitch anyway, and the streamers and all the popularity with the drops and everything else. So I'm certain they'll do something similar to that when Arena
that makes
launches.
sense.
They must do. But I think it's cool. I think it's cool that there's things are happening, stuff's moving behind the scenes. It's interesting. Haven't heard anything about it though, unfortunately.
Oh, the way you said that was just too funny. The setup to that, oh my god. I'm really looking forward to it because, man, I was having a talk with Shudaville yesterday as we were playing some duos, and we were talking about like Marauders has got their beta out or whatever, and there's Cycle Frontiers, all these like other games out, but I just keep coming back to Tarkov, but I keep griping about Tarkov, and it's this is really sick cycle. And I think for me it's like the combat systems is like one big part of it. Like, yeah, they're not like perfect, but what game is, right? But there's a lot of depth to it. Like just everything from like you can control your movement speed, which even though it isn't used that often, it's still kind of cool. You can control your crouch stance, how high you want to like slowly like crouch up. It's always fun, like just like slowly like peeking up behind like a box. Your little head pops up and then you can just slowly peek down. It's just, I don't know, I feel so immersed. The leaning, all that stuff. And you got like the meds, the bleeding, the health system, like how you receive damage, the armor, fragmentation, the bullets, all that stuff. There's like so much depth there, man. And it's like these other games, like like we were talking about Marauders, it's just like he was saying, Shudaville, that just feels very like, yeah, this is definitely an alpha. Like the gameplay just feels very alpha-y. Like I can't remember. Did you play Marauders?
I didn't, but you told me about it. I hadn't even looked at the game, so you explained it to me on ScavTalk when it was kind of open.
That's right. Which I think they got some cool ideas, but definitely the movement felt like Call of Duty 4 back in 2000 whatever, 4 or whatever. I don't remember when that game came out. So it's tough. So I kind of lost my train of thought there, but that's what I was gonna say. I'm really like excited for Arena because it kind of just like cuts out all the crap. Like I'm getting so tired of steps. Yeah, I'm getting so tired of like, I mean, part of me likes doing the stash stuff, but also like I would just love to be able to do the stash stuff while I'm loading into a raid because it takes so long to load an raid sometimes. Like it can take up to 5 minutes, and what happens is, I have to go travel 10 minutes to a location to go plant something. Like I had to go plant markers at resort, and I also had to do colleagues part 1, so I got the spawn for the cottages because you got to go to the bodies, investigate the bodies.
Yeah.
And you have to do all 3 in a single raid and survive. And I've been stuck on this quest because every time I get like 1 or 2, there's like shots or action going on the last place I need to go. But I got these other quest items on me, like vitamins part 1. So I'm just like fuck, man, I can't do this quest yet, you know? So I'm finally doing it. I go get the body at cottages. I go to resorts. I run in. I go to the basement. I wait. Then I hear what sounds like a GL going off. I'm like, great. I don't know what's going on. I'm getting like sussy vibes because there might be like a cheater in the lobby. I don't know. I'm just like kind of paranoid. So I wait there for like another 10 minutes. It quiets down. I hear scavs moving. I do my stuff, get the bodies, plant the thing because I had to plant it, do a different quest, rig game, plant the thing at the ambulance, whatever. Go to pier, do all that, yada, yada, yada. You know, 40 minutes down the drain, I get the quest done. But like other times, it's like you spawn in because we're doing reserve, and it's literally like you spawn in, you're instantly getting shot at or shooting at someone, you know? So I waited 5 minutes to die to like re-kit back up. Like it's just frustrating, right? So like if Arena can like just cut out all that fluff, like it's fine. I want to load in and instantly start shooting at someone because that's the game. You know what I mean? That's like, that's the experience, right? I'm looking for. And there's no like stash management. It's just like if the queue times are great, that'd be awesome, whatever. But if it cuts out the fluff, I can still get like those core mechanics that kind of like keeps me in Tarkov. I mean, there's other things like the modding, the hideout stuff, you know, whatever. Definitely not the AI, but anyways. Yeah.
We have added the rogue bosses to Arena.
God, do kill me. So that's I'm pretty excited now to try it because I haven't really been playing a lot of Tarkov this week, and it's mainly just because I'm just so tired of doing the quests, man. I thought I would like. I know we had Jesse on a while ago, and you know he kind of was saying that, and now I kind of feel like I agree because it's just like I really like the early game wipe because it's really intense and you got the quest items and you have to survive. You know, it's like the stakes are on the line, and some, you know, that first like 15 levels, if you find like a really good armor or suppressor, you know, you feel like a god. But then after that level, once you hit the flea market, things really rapidly accelerate, and I don't know, it just kind of falls apart for me. It's like, damn, I'm back where I was last swipe almost. But anyways, I've rambled long enough. I'm looking forward to Arena, man. I really hope that pulls through this year. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be good if they can get it so that it coincides with. I think Nice Guy said this in one of his videos. Actually, he was like talking about the pipe dream, and I don't think it's necessarily going to come off the way that he says. But if they can get it to kind of be a thing or be testing or have something about it where people can be showcasing it or something in that kind of like final 3 months of this wipe. You know, it doesn't need to happen right now, but in 2 months' time, quite a few more people will be bored, I think. And if it happens then that would actually be awesome because that would really help just kind of like lift the community back up, which I feel like last wipe, you know, we talked endlessly about it, but I do think that there was a bit of, you know, lack of kind of community. Well, maybe it wasn't even their fault. Maybe they couldn't do anything about it, but the community suffered last wipe with the various shenanigans for various reasons. And
like
the
what
delays
exactly?
And I just like the Lightkeeper event, and then, you know, then nothing happening, and then it being delayed, and then like radio silence, and then the law just dried up, and then it wasn't really for anything. And it's kind of like, I think they burnt a lot of people out about that. And so the wipes kind of reset that because it always does. But if this time around they can go, right, let's not do that. Instead we'll have something really hype. We've got the Arena that's coming, and that can reinvigorate people's interest in the game or whatever. That could actually really help out, I think, just with the community feel. So I'm looking forward to that, and that would be good. I think that would be a smart move rather than, you know, I can imagine like it getting pushed and it's taking too long and they're doing the testing and then it like gets released at the beginning of the next wipe and it's like, why have you done this? You know, I can imagine that happening. So they need to kind of off cycle it with the regular Tarkov because it's going to bring people back into the main game. So please be smart about it, please.
I mean, this swipe was so light in content, it feels like yeah, there's been like some new discoveries and whatnot, but just as like an overall thing, it was so light, and obviously part of that is because the Lightkeeper didn't make it in this patch. So the question kind of stands in my mind, you know, it's like, well, it didn't make it in this swipe, so maybe we'll see like a very sizable update to stuff in the next cycle, copium. So I'm kind of hoping that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on the Lightkeeper himself is if they just like lock off the lighthouse, if they add like a load of extra stuff, like you have to go to somewhere and get this thing or piece these things together from like something from each of the different maps, and then that's the key, and then you go to him, and then it gives you something, and then that it's like a big sort of trail of stuff that happens rather than just like I said, a one-time quest. Then that would be kind of cool. But my gut instinct is it's going to be like, here's the Lightkeeper. Here's the key. It's really expensive. It'll be bartered for a Dorm's Mark key on the flea. You get it, you go to him, and you could buy something fun, and then that'll be it. And that's my gut instinct. And maybe it'll work later with streets and stuff. But I think like on its own as a standalone thing, I just can't really see it being that exciting as an update. I think it'll be exciting for about 3 days, then people will figure out all the stuff about it, and then that'll be it. Like it would have to have like all sorts of weird interconnectivity.
Yeah,
like it'd be kind of
getcha.
cool. You spoke a while back about the maps, and you said, "Oh, I'm not going to spoil it for you, or whatever," because there's that craft in the Intel Center, which I ended up discovering and then forgetting to tell you about, because I hadn't got there yet.
That as
well.
well.
Like if you take every map and then you can craft them together into the topographical maps, and I was like, that's kind of neat,
Yeah,
it's almost kind of replicating like fantasy games from the fast part. You have to get the emerald from reserve and the topaz from customs, whatever, and then you link them all together into the gem of power, and then it lets you into the lighthouse. Obviously not that, but
yeah,
you have to get like you have to like take a USB flash drive into RAID, go to a computer, get the data, and then you need all 6 pieces, and there's like certain locations on each map or something, and then that lets you into that would be freaking cool. And that would give you player-driven quests to go. It's not an actual quest, but you want to go and do the stuff, and then it drives people to those locations. Then people have PvP there, and like da 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 da. But they're not going to do that, right? So
and dude, this. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just like that. That would be how it would be awesome. But I just don't think until we get streets and stuff, I don't think that kind of interconnectivity is coming.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so sad because I want to be like, it could happen, but I just don't think it will. But I mean,
if we're surprised on the upside, then great. But I think after the last patch, I'm really like, I'm completely fine, and I'm not like angry or anything. But it's just like I'm just super chill with expectations right now.
Yeah,
I'm just in the proper like lowest kind of like happens when it happens. Arena, like the test doesn't come, it gets pushed, ends up being like May next year. Streets is like 2025. Yeah, it's whatever, it's fine. I'm super chill about it right now. I'm just like, I'm not expecting anything. I'm kind of just playing Tarkov like as it is, and having really no expectations for the future about like when the content's coming, what it might be, what it might look like whatever. I'm just trying to enjoy the game for what it is at the moment. I'm very much in a Zen-like state with it right now.
You set your expectations to low, it won't hurt when they get broken because they're already low. No.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, just to your point about like this wipe, I mean, I think maybe this one is a bit different for me because I'm actually progressing at a much faster rate than I have done in the past, which is
Let's say, what level are you?
32.
Okay. I think I'm 28. I just hit 28 last night.
Okay. So it's been kind of fun in that regard for me because it's kind of like the fastest that I've really ever progressed. Because I've been able to obviously be doing it like at least 4 days, and the sort of updated stream schedule is like kind of going well as well. I got to 28 and then finally unlocked the RSAS, by the way, and did like all the gunsmith tasks except for the very last one because you need to be level 35. I went from 28 to 30 just like instantaneously after doing gunsmiths like is it 6 the RSAS all the way up to I think 14. It was like nearly 200,000 XP or something crazy to do all of them in one go. It was kind of nuts.
Do you know what kind of barters that is? Okay, I got it here now. So you need 8 bear, 8 USEC over 15 or under 15?
Over 15.
Okay.
The bears was touch and go. I got a lot of USEC tags.
I forgot about this and I didn't save my dog tags for it. So I'm gonna have to wait till a wet job or something. Anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's I think it's okay. So I'm kind of enjoying it. Getting to Fragment 3 is kind of fun. I wanted to do that before I did the armor thing because then I can actually like look at the stuff properly. Like I can look at the information anyway without. But for people who are listening to this on on Monday or later, once it actually releases on the various platforms or whatever, I probably will already have actually put out that armor guide. But yeah, like not that many people are at this level really. You know, there's a bunch of people who are like level 50 plus, right? Who are streaming, 12 hours a day. But that's not what I'm doing, and it's still way quicker for me.
Man.
Which it is nuts. It is nuts. I mean, props to them, right? Like props to the real grinders.
Yeah.
But
no, it's just amazing that like in 2 weeks they can get Kappa and like essentially beat the game. It's just like, damn, dude, that's crazy.
It is crazy, and that's the thing though. It's like you see people saying, I think like Desmond posted his today, being like Kappa Gamer, whatever. And I look at like their stats and stuff, and it's like, obviously I'm doing YouTube like for most of my time,
right?
And then doing like various streams, and I got like family stuff as well, and that kind of thing, which kind of prevents me from playing, which is fine. And I'm progressing at a level at like a rate that I'm happy with and I'm enjoying. But you still like, this is the fastest progression that I've had, and then I look at like their stat screen, and I'm just like, dang, dude, you've done like 5 or 6 times the number of raids that I've had, and this is like me going pretty hard. It's like it's nutty, But I guess that's the difference. If you're like Twitch streamer first and foremost, you're just on all day. So
exactly, you're like constantly making content, basically.
Yeah. So it's different if you're YouTube focused. But anyway, that kind of brought us on nicely into the next topic, which is about player level stats. I wanted to bring this one up.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
A content creator who makes really nice infographic stuff. I'm hoping that I don't mispronounce his name. Kraynd, 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 and he puts loads of nice stuff out on Twitter. And he's, I don't know, he must have some kind of like graphics background or whatever, because he makes like really nice infographics. But anyway, he ran a poll a few days ago. I love these polls about player level. We had like 1,000 respondents, so that's kind of decent. And he actually did it 2 ways, which is kind of cool. He had. I'm going to pop this in the chat just so people who are like on the live can just see it as well. But anyway, so he asked people like, do you have the flea or don't you have the flea? So I guess that's like, are you higher or lower than 15 is really the question behind that. And 46% of people don't have the flea market, and 54% of people have the flea. So 54% of players are level 15 or above. It's literally 50-50. So 50% of the players are under level 15. They're level 1 through to level 14. So if you're worried about these people who are, running at the end game and getting Kappa and whatever, don't worry so much, right? It's like, if you look at it by level, he's split out by each kind of like decade. Levels 2 to 10 was 23%. Levels 11 to 20 is the most popular level, which is 38%. Levels 21 to 30 is 25%, and 31 plus is only 14% of the player base. So again, on that basis, you've got, what's that, 61% of players that are level 20 or below. So, most players don't even have Mechanic 2, I guess, is that? Yeah, because Mechanic 2 comes at level 20.
Yeah.
So the vast majority of players don't even have Mechanic 2. So I always think that's interesting, because we always have to pare back our expectations, because the vast majority of the players that you see, the people that you interact with, and the content that you watch is from people who play more than the average player, usually a lot more than the average player.
And are probably better at surviving than the average player, I would stand to reason.
True. So it kind of compounds on itself.
Right.
And we were actually talking about this in chat, actually, on one of the other days, just saying about how players who are better will play more, but they also get access to the better gear earlier and are completing quests that are annoying for regular players who are worse at the game.
Right.
Like we were talking the example of like, imagine you're playing like super hardcore and you're playing, 15 hours a day for the first week or whatever, and you're doing setup on like day 5 or day 4 or whatever, and everyone's like running around trying to get like pocket watch, and you're just shotgunning everybody. Like, it's so different to playing like 3 months into the white, when a vast majority of the player base has got class 5 armor. Most people, almost everybody else, is running class 4. You're trying to use AP20, it does nothing to the guy wearing the Kraynd. You've got a 50% chance of penning the class 4 and then just dying to something with relatively low recoil. It's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the better players are playing. The reason why they're better in the first place is because they're playing more, because they got more experience, and they got better gear, and they're doing quests earlier, so it's also easier. It's like a super compounding thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, anybody who feels like behind on the progression or whatever, there's like, firstly, plenty of people out there. As we said, nearly 50% of people don't even have the flea market. Don't worry about it too much. And eventually you'll bump into other people who are kind of the same level or the same skill or whatever, and then it'll be kind of a more even fight. So, but there's like a lot of people who are, you know, not the levels that you see. I mean, I see it on my YouTube comments, people being like, "Oh, everybody I'm running into is wearing class 5 and running BP," and I'm just like, it just isn't true, dude. Like, it's just false. It's just not actually true at all. It may look that way, but it just isn't true.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Yeah, I would really love, like, it's not gonna happen. It's just wishful thinking, but I can't help myself. I would just love to see the full data from BSG, man. I would just love, like, survival rate, level, you know, like trader, hideout burger, like all this stuff, dude. I would just love to sit there and just sieve through the data and just like comb over it slowly, just to absorb it all. It'd be great. I would love it.
It'd be fun. Can you imagine like having the full distribution of like all the survival rates, like the full bell curve?
Yeah, I would love to see
like it'd
that,
be really
dude.
be interesting.
Yeah.
It would be super interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was cool. Like I always love these kind of polls and data
Mhm.
and stuff. And like, yeah, there's always some. I always feel like maybe his stuff is a bit more because like mine, there's definitely like sample bias, right? There's like more
Yeah.
lower level players.
Right.
When I do a
Right.
YouTube poll, Twitter is a little bit more kind of everybody kind of sees that stuff, I guess. I mean, it probably still is some of that, but maybe it's not quite as skewed
Yeah.
as on.
I mean,
like when I do one,
it's probably equally as skewed, but perhaps skewed in a completely different way. You know what I mean? Like the only way for it to not be skewed is to get it straight from the other dude. The BSG tit. I need it right now.
Which is when we get the end of wipe stats. That's why they're cool, because they're some of the only official stats that we get, you know.
But they're so like niche and
scuffed. Yeah, it's like, here's the event statistics. We'll tell you how many bears died in labs, and you're like, that's not what I want to know.
Yeah, I know. BSG is, yeah, they don't give me what I want, but they keep me coming back. That's how it works.
Keep you coming back for more. Absolutely. Cool. Well, shall we celebrate?
Cheers.
We celebrate our. I don't even have it. I finished my glass of squash here, and my cordial, unfortunately. So we just have to cheers with an empty glass. But yeah, so we finally made YouTube partner on YouTube, obviously. But there's pretty exciting. I mean, the growth on YouTube and on the I guess the other channels as well has been like pretty amazing, actually. For ScavTalk, it's cool. I was talking about this again with like some of the people on chat, being like, it's nice to have people come into the like Twitch channel and be like, oh, I like been watching a podcast and like find you here. I'm like, man, it's like they're taking on a life of its own, which is kind of cool. It's like not, you know, it's its own entity rather than being, you know, the sub child of, you know, stuff that like either of us are doing like separately or whatever. Which is really, really cool. So yeah, appreciate all you guys for listening and helping us get to where we are, and you know, more to come. Always trying to improve and do new stuff and that kind of thing, and to try and improve. And I guess it's probably time to start. We were talking about this before. It's probably time to start getting a few more guests on again, because we've kind of like chilled on that a little bit, but we'll definitely be having some more people on. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
good. You excited, Church? You raring to go?
Raring to go. Where?
Just in general.
Yeah, I think I still kind of blows me away. Like the growth, like specifically this year, has just been kind of crazy. So yeah, and like you said, when people stop by or the Discord or streams or whatever, yeah, it's awesome. It's really great that people find value in well, Giga's an adult. I'm sort of an adult. But two people having a chat about a stupid video game. I mean, a great video game. Speaking of, oh man, can I do this? Okay, so I have a clip of a scav absolutely deleting me, and I'm just gonna send it to you because I don't want to get too technical and like click a bunch of buttons on OBS and mess it up. I should have prep for this earlier. I thought about it, but I didn't execute.
Okay.
Actually, it's in the free plug. It's in the ScavTalk Discord channel. In the
Which board is it?
Scav house. If you scroll up just a bit.
Okay.
So me and Strudeville were playing. To give you a little bit of a backstory for everyone listening and watching, me and Strudeville were playing Reserve, right? Excuse me. And hopefully you know who Strudeville is. He makes YouTube shorts. They're really funny. You should go check them out. Excuse me again. So yeah, I had to go to ST to get the thing. He had the key. I mean, I had it as well, but it was found in raid, and he whatever. So he opened it for me. But so we're running there. You know, we're marking all these tanks. You know, he's literally like my Tarkov dad, telling me which tank to mark and which one to go walk up to. I'm so bad this way. I don't look up the wiki. I don't know if it's laziness or if I just can't be bothered. But I just like try to like wing it every time, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let's just put it like that. So. We go to ST, we're running up there. I mean, we're already like 10 minutes into the raid, and there's two guys just sitting in there, and he gets shot at. So we're trying to like fight them, and like it's just a little tiny door. That's it. That's like all you have to shoot through. And so we reposition or whatever, and for audio listeners, I just got absolutely deleted by the scav, and I'm gonna try to play it on the recording somehow. I just have to figure out how to do that. I think I got an idea actually.
I'm just gonna watch it now because I didn't watch it before. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you basically he shoots and then he's just like, actually, I want to check your health. So does he shoot first? Because I've got it muted. So I guess he shoots at you like once or twice. You start to shoot and then he goes arm, head, dead. Or arm, dead. Something weird happens. You get like a weird fragment, actually. There's like a strange fragment. I think your head gets hit through your arm or something. Because your head takes like a bunch of damage, but you don't die. But anyway, it goes like left arm, right arm fragment into the head, and then you die to the next shot, which is pretty brutal.
Pretty brutal. I'm gonna play it now. I'm dead. Are you fucking kidding me? So bad. Just an AI scan.
Yeah.
I was so mad, bro. I was so mad, Giga, because it was so unfortunate that it was raining that day like crazy, and it was really hard to hear. And it's been a while since I've experienced that, so that was a nice, fun reminder of what that's like. Then, you know, I get on top of this thing and I hear the scav yell at me. I go to like turn and flick, but my gun hits the freaking thing. I don't even know what it is. It's just like a power generator on wheels, whatever. So I have to like recenter, the gun has to like reset. And then he instantly headshots me. He hits the helmet or something, or he hits my arms or something. I don't know. So I get like the aim punch blur and I'm trying to shoot at him, but then he hits me in the head and the concussion, and he hits me in the eyes eventually. And it's just like, God, I don't know why he was so cracked out, but I didn't have like, I don't know, like what could I have done? Like, where did I go wrong, Giga? Where did I go wrong?
I mean, that's the thing. Is like you normally would hear them at that range, but
yeah,
you probably couldn't because of the rain. That's the issue. And then yeah, like once you're in that position where the scav's just shooting at you, like when I've been doing a load of testing offline, and this actually was the most obvious when I was trying to test out. There was some ballistic stuff. Is when I was doing the shotgun testing because I was trying to figure out how much damage the shotguns were doing at different ranges. Actually, because I think there was a small bug with the Tarkov Ballistics website. At like most of the time, it works really well, but there was a small bug with like really close range shots coming out of shotguns in particular. Because I ended up like tweaking some of my findings. I thought my findings were much more extreme than they actually like should be in reality. Because I think the website was like, oh, you can never get. Like Tarkov Ballistics said, you can never get a headshot with 7mm ever. Not impossible. Like by the time that the pellets come out of the gun, they've already lost lower than 35. It's from starting at like 39. And when I went into raid and I point blank to scav in the leg with a 153 or whatever,
Mhm.
it was 37. And I was like, okay, but there's something wrong. Like there's something slightly strange at like this really weird fringe thing, right, where you've got huge ballistic like coefficient drop off combined with like point blank ranges. Like I was on their calculator, like with increments of 10 centimeters. Like no one ever uses it like that. So it was like some really weird like fringe thing. But anyway, so when I was doing that, I was trying to put it on horde because if you put factory just on regular scavs, there's actually
Right.
not that
There's
many.
not that many.
Especially if you're just on your own. So I was like, oh, even putting them on high, you have to like run around. I was like, I don't want to be running around finding scavs, so I want to put it on horde mode. And then horde mode, you're often fighting two at the same time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And there was like so many times, even when I was wearing good armor, that I'd like come around the corner and be like trying to like line the shot up, and the scav would just be like, thorax, 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 you're dead. And I was like, what? Like, what is this like? This is insane. Like the RNG is just like not there at all. It's not even like one in the arm, like one hits the thorax. Like sometimes you get a headshot. There was like a good number of those scav encounters. It was just like center of mass, center of mass, center of mass. Like maybe it was something to do with the distance, like the way that I was positioning. I wasn't trying to hide myself or anything, and they had a good bead on me because I was trying to line the leg up because I was like shooting the pellets and then looking. I was doing one shot, then dying, and then looking at the end screen, and then taking the total damage and dividing it by the number of hits because a buckshot pellet can't fragment, so you know that it's always right. And that works quite well. But yeah, it was super weird. Now the AI is just really really tough. So in that position, if you can't hear them, it's so brutal, right? Because like the only reason or the only difference between the scav bosses and the normal scavs is aim, really, and the time that they take to react to stuff. Really,
yeah, the
difference.
reaction time.
Like,
yeah,
it's like you see on Twitter, like I think Trey posted a thing being like, how come every time you see like any people killing the scav bosses is using that door glitch, and he was just like, bro, it's like the only way you can kill them,
right?
But there's the same logic applies to normal scavs too. It's like try to fight scavs at that range or even long range. Normally it's a bit longer range. If you're trying to fight scavs at 50 meters and they've got an AKM, really rough or an SKS or something, dude. Like it's hard.
It's scary.
Hard.
That's the most, dude. Yeah. That is the most scariest scav. Is an AK scav that has a full auto AK because he will literally, like, I don't know if it's full auto, but it's like rapid fire at least, and sometimes you shoot him 245, but most times it's like PS. Dude, that stuff will delete you, man. It will absolutely delete you. It's so scary. And as you said, you have they operate basically the same, right? There's a reaction. They have like a reaction time. They have an accuracy stat. It's just the bosses are like cranked up to insane values. The scavs are actually relatively easy once you understand how they work because you get that 1.2 second or whatever window where you get free shots on them, essentially.
Yeah.
And, when I was playing with some newer players a couple wipes ago, that wasn't like immediately obvious to them. And they were like terrified of scavs. But for me, a seasoned player, it's just like, yeah, you get a free, it's just like, you just point and click, you just take your time, whatever. But, I don't know. Someone brought this up in the comments on one of I think the last video we just did or the last podcast where we were talking about the AI as always. And it's just like, like what can they do to make it better, I guess? Like what's another game that they've done? And I know I've said Dark Souls, but the more I think about it, it's not really a good example because we're talking like melee combat. It's just like completely different than gun combat, right? But I think you could still like if they would like, because they kind of telegraph their like when they see you, they telegraph their actions, but they're always pointing their gun at you. So you don't really know when they're gonna shoot, right? Like if it was like a little bit more telegraph of like maybe their animations are like Giga slow down or like Wanna Suka. The gun just like slowly rises. Something like this where like it was a bit more telegraphed. But anyways, because it's like in some of the other like looter shootery games that are like kind of more comparable to Tarkov with like AI than something like Dark Souls or whatever. That have like AI that has guns. They're usually like bullet sponges and you yourself are like a bullet sponge, so it's like, yeah, they're hitting me, but I can take a bunch of shots, whereas like a Tarkov, it's not really how that works. So there is a bit of a dilemma there, because if you start doing things like Scav's bullets do half damage, it's just like kind of like makes it all weird, and it's like not very, doesn't really jive with their whole like realism thing, so it gets really wonky. But anyways, that was just a funny thing that happened yesterday. Pretty annoying because we were dying a lot playing together. I wasn't really trolling that much, but we were just getting kind of unlucky. And then we had like a really tense fight going down. It was like they were in there, we were shooting at them. He was like, "You got any nades?" Like, yeah, I'll go outside and throw them in the window. Blah blah blah. Did all this stuff. Got the alarms going off. The rain was really intense. And then the AI scav just walks in and one taps me basically, and I was like, "Oh my god!" That's Tarkov. So
it's really rough.
It's rough, man.
It is really rough. I mean, I personally think that scavs are kind of easier to balance, so to speak, than like the bosses say, for example, because scavs they can suck. It's fine,
right?
Like their kit is awful. Right? There's no reason for them to just like delete you. In my opinion, scavs are kind of like, they function equivalently to how the zombies feature in DayZ.
Yes.
They're not necessarily like an actual threat. They're not like a real threat to the player. But what they do is they force you to fire your gun. They shoot at you and telegraph your position. They force you to give away. Because that's one of the issues with Tarkov, especially later on, is that you just never hear anybody. And then you just run into PMCs randomly. Whereas the scavs, they do kind of, because they shoot at you, I wouldn't actually mind if they shot at you and had like even better kind of awareness in some ways. Well, like the awareness they have now, because their awareness is pretty cracked. It's like kind of hard to increase that. But like the awareness they had now, but then just like dial that accuracy down a little bit, because the point of the scavs, in my opinion, from like a game design perspective, is the pressure.
Yes.
It's the pressure that they apply on you when you're getting shot at. And yeah, sometimes you'll get hit by them, that's fine. But it's more about like, you don't want scavs to be shooting at you because people know you're there, and then it's, you've got a firefight with them, and like sometimes they'll kill you. I don't think it's necessary for them to be as like insane as they are. I was just trying to find whether I talked about like the AI one that I had, the one that my chat was like, "Oh, you should send this to Jesse," because I can't even find out where it went.
Talking about the SV98.
Yeah, the SV98.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that on here? I'm sure we probably did. But it's the same kind of thing, right? It's just like there's no reason for that kind of like what is the reason for having them be that insane? And you were saying about like them being on full auto, right? In that specific clip, the AI somehow spots me, right, lying prone in a bush with a suppressed SV98 at 170 meters. Right, which is like, I mean, that's like egregious, right? Because like your example is bad, right? And it's annoying how quickly he kills you, because it's really just like after the first 2 shots or something, and you get slightly unlucky with your gun, like you get absolutely pummeled, which it sucks, but like it's kind of almost, I feel like that's more acceptable in some ways than getting shot at with a suppressed bolt action at 170 meters away, being a random scav, spotting the guy, and he fires 2 shots in rapid succession, and then hides behind something, and then he comes back out leaning, fires 2 more, and the second one of the second like volley, clips me in the head and kills me. And like that's the fact that I'm detected at that range, suppressed with a bolty on its own is unacceptable to me.
Yeah.
And like maybe you get RNG, unlucky, but we know that scavs have insane accuracy. But occasionally you have to get killed by them, I think. But they should just code it in hardwired that the very first shot that connects should never kill you in one hit with a headshot. I don't care whether that's artificial or whatever. Like it's just bad game design to have people die instantaneously from this. Like having misses is one thing, and then you should get hit, and then it should start. Like after the first shot, maybe you can take a headshot or something, but like it just feels so terrible, especially over those certain ranges. You know what I mean? It just sucks for the player.
They would have to have that first shot be 100% accuracy, like a laser beam, but hit a non-vital part like your arm. Because if you just have their accuracy really low, then there's still a like low percent chance with like the accuracy of their gun or however that system works, that they hit your head. Maybe they just have like the first shot always miss, and then you're back to RNG from that point. I don't know, but I definitely agree that the distance thing, like, that just shouldn't be the case. And I like how you use DayZ as an example, because like they're essentially walking loot pinatas, but they have crap loot and they're annoying. And that should be like they should be just enough of a threat that like you have to deal with them, and how you deal with them could be like a bunch of different things. Like you could run away, like in DayZ, you dealing with the zombies. It could be like you could fold them into a building and shut the doors on them, or you hit them with a rock, or you hit them with a silence 22. Maybe you have to shoot your gun, whatever. But there's like a bunch of different ways you deal with them. They could do something similar to like scavs, because like sometimes you can just like a scav won't spot you, even though he's walking like 5 feet away from you. He just like walks past you.
Yeah.
The AI is kind of like inconsistent like that, but anyways. I don't want to talk too much about AI.
I know it's funny though, because it's like in some ways, like I don't mind them being inconsistent sometimes, because like different people would see you in different areas. Like I kind of don't mind that. It's just like, yeah, some of the things that are just on the fringes are just too crazy. But just like to your point about experienced players know how to deal with them and stuff. Like it's so hard, and as I said, it's just it's a diluted version of the bosses. Like if I see a scav and I'm in customs, like scavs, dealing with scavs is predominantly about pathing. It's predominantly about pathing, right?
Yeah.
It's not really about anything else. It's about pathing and not being in line of sight. Like no seasoned player just openly shoots against scavs like with clear line of sight. There's just nobody does that. If you can, you just move in as close as you can, and then you come around the corner and you kill them from super close range, because it's by far the easiest way to kill them. And that goes for scavs, raiders, not really rogues, because you can't really get in that situation, but it still works if you're down in the camp. It works with the bosses, it works with the new scav bosses, because they just don't deal with inside buildings, corners, and close combat particularly well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by far the easiest way to deal with the AI, because they're just kind of dumb in those particular situations. They made the better, actually. They do lean and stuff now. Scavs do like lean around cover and things.
Yeah.
It does make it feel a lot better. So it's better than it used to be. It does feel like sometimes a bit more of a threat. But yeah, I just feel that their accuracy is, especially at range, has been toned up too much. And there's too many situations where a legitimate real player just wouldn't be able to see you. There's just no way.
Yeah.
And you end up fearing scavs over range way more than regular players.
Even if they could spot you, in theory, with iron sights, it would be really difficult to hit you with iron sights.
Yeah.
Let alone a red dot. So from 170 meters or whatever.
Talking about reserve, though. Reserve, I had an interesting one. So now that you've got all of the bosses that get unlocked with the quest, it's actually a lot better. I actually much prefer rather than having this like linear path. Like you do end up with a lot of quests, and we know that ended up causing some problems with the number of quests that people were having, causing that weird bug. I'm sorry, ow, that really hurt. I just punched my desk. But yeah, so that means that now we've got lots of different quests to complete all at the same time, and some of them just happen randomly. So I was trying to go around reserve and mark the various tanks, and I went into the night buildings, and there was like Glukhar and all his boys were there, but I didn't realize until one of them came running up and headshotted the first one, but took a load of damage. And I basically said to chat, like, I'm dead here because I don't have enough HP and I don't have enough armor, because when they come around the corner, I'm going to get hit. Like, I can't kill them quick enough. There's no way. And the next one came around and just like laser beamed me and killed me. And my crosshead placement wasn't great and stuff, but like you take a hit or two from each guy. You can't heal between. Like, it's just so hard. Yeah. But it turned out the very first one was Glukhar himself, which was really, really fun, because then it meant that I completed the quest, because you don't need anything from him. You don't need his ash or anything like that. So I just like handed it in and got the weapons case, which was super cool, because weapons cases now are only, well, I say only, they've always been 10 Bitcoins as a barter from mechanic. Which is interesting, because now Bitcoins are only 115k. You can basically get a weapons case for like 1.15 mil, which is really, really cheap. But people are still buying weapons cases on the flea, and because that quest gives you a weapons case found in raid, I ended up selling that on the flea for 4 mil, which was pretty sick. Ooh. And basically it's like, it's worth waiting. I was actually on the cusp. I nearly lost 300,000 rubles by not thinking about it too much, because I had Intel Center 3 being made. And I ended up being like, oh, actually, you need to wait for this to finish, because then I'll basically save like 300k in flea market fees. So rather than being, because I think if you post it up for 4 mil, it ends up being a 1 million rubles, but it's only 660,000 or something once you've got Intel Center 3. So anyway, we made like a bunch of money, because I upgraded like everything all at once. and went completely broke when I got to level 30 because it was like workbench 3 and then generator. And then once those were done, I did the, God, which one was it? Like the rest space, the water collector, the air filter, Bitcoin farm level 2. I just did like so many things. So I had like nearly 5 mil or something, and just, or like 4 mil, and just eradicated all of it. And then got this weapons case and managed to get the money back. Because I was like, man, we like scraping along. I was like, I had a few 100,000, like having to sell stuff to put kits together because I was doing Punisher as well. So I was just like, oh, so I'm like losing money doing Punisher. I'm like running stupid kits with like stupid SPDs. Oh my god. But yeah, that was kind of fun. So I think that's one incident where having these like the non-linearity of the quest is actually really nice, because sometimes you just randomly get them and it's nice to complete them through the natural play.
Yeah. That is a really, really good quality of life change, in my opinion, because, as you said, it just feels very natural. It's like something you can work on still learning the stages. It's like Shooter Born in Heaven, man. Sometimes it's just like, do I really want to bring a scope because I don't have Shooter Born in Heaven unlocked? Like, I crafted a T-plug or something just so I could get Shooter Born unlocked, so I could like have that possibility be allowed for me. Because you know how bad it would suck to get like a 125-meter headshot on customs and not have Shooter Born unlocked. That would be awful. So yeah, I definitely like that change. It's a really good change. And you reminded me of something too. Quickly, I want to talk about was you're talking about all the intels, all your upgrades in your hideout. And I am hard stuck behind Vitality, man. Vitality 3 from Med Station 3 Giga. And I just gotta know, did you cheese it? Did you do it this wipe again? Did you?
What do you think?
Dude, I can't, man. I can't.
I cheese Vitality like I do every wipe from 2.5 to 3. Every wipe. Every single wipe.
All right.
One of them, I did it at night. I went in with a VPO. Maybe it was because I was wearing a Module 3M armor, because I was like, just in case I meet a buckshot scav. And I went into raid and ran and lay down in a bush. And I waited for the people to run out their spawns. And I was like writing a script or whatever. And like 1 minute later, someone comes running up the wall, up the side, because I wanted to go, and he runs right up to me and shoots me straight in the head with 760 PS. And I was like, okay.
Kind of sus.
Kind of sus. I was like, either the guy was wearing MVGs and I was really obvious but didn't realize, or I was like, he's not wearing MVGs, and for some reason the moon and my like Module 3M armor is like sticking out like a sore thumb, like there's some graphical bug or whatever.
True.
So I was like, maybe. But also I was like, yeah, that was kind of weird, because I was just like literally laying prone in the middle of foliage, just completely still, right at the beginning of the raid. Like I ran probably 20 meters and then lay in a bush, and he's just straight up the side, bam, one shot in the head. It was like very weird. But anyway, so it took me probably like 4 raids in total, because one of them I died, and then the 3 other raids I'm there just like spinning away. Oh no, one of the raids I killed myself because I tried to do it too quickly, and I managed to black my head out by
oh no.
It turns out I didn't really think I've never really, because obviously I experienced this like once per wipe. And I was like, yeah, it's fine, we'll spin around, like check my thing. But like the faster you turn in the barbed wire, it seems, the more damage you do to yourself. Yeah. I didn't really realize until this time. And I did like one particularly vigorous spin when I had quite low health. And my guy actually just voice lined, "Oh, I'm a goner." And then I just fell over and died. And I was like, what happened? I was like, oh no. So yeah, it took me 3 legit raids of doing it. One where I just died instantaneously with a grizzly in my case. But I had like a grizzly in the secure, and I had a grizzly in my rig. I was taking the Wartech, like 106 plus 104, whatever it's called. So it's got like the 2x2. I died in there, and yeah, it's just every wipe. I don't understand. I just don't understand how people. I mean, it must be right, because there's some people, and the people that I normally talk about this with, who never seem to have a problem, are usually really good at Tarkov. And it seems to me that, and it makes sense, right? Because you need to take lots of sustained damage throughout the course of that, like, early wipe experience to get to level 3 on your own naturally. So maybe it's partly where you're going, but also you can't do what I do, right? Which is, I'll go into a raid, I'll be pathing really like tactically and successfully through the map. I will see 3 people who never see me. I will kill them all without taking any damage. And then the next raid, I run into somebody and I just get shot straight through the left eye socket, and I die instantly, and I get 0.001 vitality. Right? And whereas the people who are super good are like either progressing a bit quicker, they're like going into these fights, they're killing like 6 players, they're taking a ton of damage, they're like healing up, you know, using all their meds and like then getting damaged again and then healing again. They're in loads of different fights. It's just not the way that I end up playing. It's just not how it works out because it's a coin flip for me normally when I meet people. It's tough. It's tough. So sometimes I have success, sometimes I don't. But I'm not the guy who's like routinely killing like 4 or 5 players like every single match. It's just not how it goes. And so on that basis, I end up having to cheese it. Whereas I think those guys who have a much higher percentage success rate of like killing a PMC on an engagement, but also taking damage. It's a funny one. It's a really funny one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it just sounds like a weird conundrum because you're telling me that you're trying to survive and you're having trouble doing that quest, whereas the person that's like risking survival more often is like totally fine doing that quest. Like, I don't know. It just like seems counterintuitive. And why is such a monumental thing? Because I can't do Intel 2 and I can't do like a lot of things are locked behind that in a hideout. I can't remember why I really want to get that done. Anyways, I don't know. It's just annoying, man. I really don't want to cheese it, but I just like how long. Let's say I'm halfway. I think I'm like 15 out of 30. I think that sounds right. How many shoreline raids would that take me? You think?
Like 3 at most.
Okay, so just
take 2 grizzlies with you, or you could even take like a grizzly, like and then 2 Salewers or something.
Well, hang on a minute. So do you
I did it with 2 grizzlies.
Do you do the whole raid? That's what you do, or you just do till the?
I do the whole raid. So I go to the corner.
So you do even past the diminishing returns? Like you just keep going down and down?
So I do the thing till I get to 60 or so, 60%.
Oh, okay.
And then I wait for 5 minutes. Oh, man. And then I get back up and do the thing. And I do it while I'm doing other stuff. So I do it while I'm doing working, like things, while I'm writing scripts or whatever. You can edit. You could edit while you do it. Like it's annoying, but then I just like, I look at the clock, I like write the time down, and I carry on doing what I was doing for 5 minutes. And then I go, oh, look, it's time for me to spin in the barbed wire again. And then get up, do the spin, do the thing, heal it up, dude. It sucks. Honestly, it sucks, but it's much better than getting it passively. I've been trying, so I've got the ambulance quest ready to turn in. And I get asked approximately every 3.6 seconds on my stream, why haven't you turned the ambulance quest in yet? And I get it because people are confused as to why I've just got like this random quest that I haven't handed in that gives you 15,000 experience that I've got just lying there. And it's because I don't get vitality very quickly. I know it's extremely annoying. I'm only at level 3 after cheesing it, right? I'm at about level, and I've done freaking loads of fights since then. Yeah, I've done so much stuff, but after getting like Med Station 3, I'm probably at like 3.7 or something now. I'm like probably 3/4 of the way through level 3 to getting to level 4. When I get to level 4, I can turn in ambulance. That will then take me to level 5 because ambulance gives you 1 point of vitality, and then I can complete the other bloody quest that requires vitality from Jaeger. But I don't want to just lose all of that, right? Because I'll only get like 0.3 of a level if I hand it in now. And so again, it's just like one of those things where I'm like holding it back to try and like boost it up. It's a little bit like the sniper skill thing, which is a really small version. But it sucks, man. It sucks. Like it's just such a terrible thing. And you know what? Most of these things have been ironed out of the game. You remember you used to have to throw grenades to get defense 2 and stuff. Like there's lots of things that used to be really bad. There's like metabolism used to be kind of annoying. Like it's better now than it was. Definitely better now than it was.
Yeah, it just gets so old, man. I'm so tired of cheesing it.
It gets old, yeah. I really was not looking forward to it either. I did actually have kind of some weird, like sometimes you go into these weird raids and I have these like really weird experiences because I don't play those raids like I play any other raid. Because last wipe, the only reason why I even got to the level that I got to was I basically did that for like the first 3 months to do as many tasks as I physically could. Like lie down in a bush, go and do something else, run in, grab the quest item, leave, like cheese the vitality. I did like, I'm like min-maxed the shit out of last wipe just to try and get enough time to actually do anything, right? And like balance it with my real life. It was freaking crazy, man. Like it was crazy. I'm like well used to this. This is like my bread and butter. So I had like this one I spawn in at the construction kind of like bit on the docks on shoreline. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm super close, but like I don't want to run there straight away because, there's the other spawns up around the edge. And I'm kind of playing night raids. So people are like playing sneaky breaky. So anyway, I run to the road and there's a truck on the road with the back open and there's like a load of boxes in front. And what I do, you're kind of obvious, but no one ever paths that way round because of the way that the map flow works. And you get in the back of the truck and you just lay down. And I always just take a VPO with APM every time, VPO with APM. And I'm just lying there and I'm like writing my scripts or whatever. And I just hear, some people coming. I'm like, oh, some dudes are coming. I'm like, I'm not gonna fight them if I can help it because that's not what I'm here for. And these guys, like literally, one goes right side, one goes left side, like around the truck that I'm in, and they're like playing it like super stealthy. I don't really have a good line of sight, but I can see them like off the corner, and they're just like looking around, pathing, like walking slow. It was actually like the Raid movie kind of thing. I was like, man, these guys are like RPing super hard. It was like so weird, but like you never get into that. Like I'm never in a raid like that normally.
Right.
Because I'm doing like weird stuff that I've never normally do. I'm like trying to lie there so that no one sees me, so I can just go and hurt myself in the corner. It's bizarre, but yeah, it is odd how many times you end up in those strange situations where people run like straight past you, or they run over the top of you. But you're like, well, I don't want to fight you because I've just got VPO and there's two of you and whatever. Like, I've had so many weird experiences because half the time I've got the game minimized and just my headphones on. It's like that General Sam video about exit camping, right? He's like reading the book on the sofa and he's just got the headset on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that where I'm like, oh, there's some footsteps. So I better like go back in just in case somebody sees me. It's like you end up in these such weird situations. Like it's so weird, and people like don't even know you're like there. Like these guys like pathing around like super stealthy, and I'm like lying there, just like they don't even know I'm there. Like, oh my god, it's so weird.
Yeah. Weird.
It's so weird, dude.
I'm curious, how many people listening, okay, or watching, how many of you cheese eat any of the sniper leveling skills stuff, vitality, whatever? Let us know. I'm curious because I'm like, I really don't want to do that gig. I mean, you're convincing me because I don't really like running the game and my editor software because the project that I do, literally all of my harrowing videos and most of them is like just Giga bogged down from just all the data that's been processed through that single project. It's really bad. But anyways, but that, I mean, now that you're talking about, maybe I'll just run the game in like 720p or something.
You could also cap the frame rate too. If you turn reflex off, you can put the frame rate to like 30 FPS.
Yeah, I might do that.
If you do that, if you can do that in the menus. I don't do it anymore because I have NVIDIA Reflex on, and turning it off and then doing the frame rate is like more annoying and I can't be bothered. But I used to do that if I was just like sitting, like scripting or writing stuff. I used to do that in the menu, because if you turn the game one down to 30, it means the hideout doesn't blow up your computer when you go in there.
Yeah, I really don't like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me neither. I wish there was a frame limiter just for the hideout, because I'd keep it at like 40 or something, or 50.
Yeah,
doesn't need to be. I don't need to be playing in 400 hertz in the hideout. It's fine.
Every time I do to go in the hideout with GPU, it's like
it makes me worry for my machine.
I know, dude.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyways,
so funny.
Okay, so moving on, Punisher Part 6.
Yes.
I saw you posted something here. You got lots of attention.
So this is probably the best tweet that I don't like. I don't really understand Twitter very much. I find it very confusing. Oh, I actually have 1,000 followers now. Amazing. I was like waiting for that the other day. I guess that was from this tweet, I suppose.
Nice.
That's kind of funny. Okay. Well, I was kind of like, watching and looking and being like, oh, am I gonna get like 1,000 followers on Twitter? Because it's just like it's weird thing. Like I have, how many people on the channel, and then guys on Twitch as well. It's like 4,000 or 5,000 or something. I don't really look at the Twitch ones very much, but then Twitter's just like under 1,000 like people following me. Like I post relatively. I don't post probably enough, to be honest, but it's just like I never really understood it or like what to post exactly. But I thought, oh, this is quite funny, because I've been running like a ridiculous SVD build, and it is completely opposite to the way I did it last wipe. And that's kind of why it's interesting for me, because last wipe I actually did Punisher way later. I did it when people were mostly running Karuns. And so I ran it like a lot later on with a recoil build and with BT rounds, because I wanted to punch through class 5. Whereas this time, most people are still using class 4 because I've got to it early. I didn't get Peacekeeper until ages and ages and ages and ages. And so I did a lot more of the Punisher quests earlier because they were the ones that I had. And so I ended up on Punisher 6 much faster. And so I was like, fine, well, maybe we'll just try some like ergo builds instead, because some people say it works for them. I don't have the money, honestly, or the trader levels to make the recoil build particularly well. And I've done a lot of shoreline, and I'm kind of fed up of it. So I've put together this like goofy build. I was like, how can we make the cheapest build with the most ergonomics possible? Because I don't really want to go down like the modernized route and do all that stuff, because it's just like it ends up getting really expensive really quickly. So it's like, fine, we'll put like the XRS DRG handguard or whatever it is, the one that just allows you to mount a foregrip. The Peacekeeper, like VFG, with just like ergo only, and the Tango Down. And I think is that people were actually telling me about that one, because I hadn't really noticed how good it was. That was the one from the RD, I think, is the basic one, the Tango Down grip that you mentioned, with like 12 or 13 ergo or something, which is actually quite cheap. It's pretty good, and it's better than the saw grip, and there's not that much more. And so I stuck that on, and then the stock is a hilarious choice. So it's the Troy stock. So the one that you make that like, there's that ridiculous like mechanic gunsmith one, or there's a preset that you can buy from him with it on, and it's like no one ever uses that stock because it's like it's all the ergo ever, but the recoil is like really bad. And attaching this to the SVD actually makes the recoil, so you have to use the buffer adapter thing, and then you just attach this thing straight onto it because it doesn't need a buffer tube. It makes the recoil worse than the base stock, but it gives you so much ergonomics. And so this thing, I mean, I think I've got one. The funniest thing about, the game's closed itself, it's very annoying. But the funniest thing about that screenshot is that came back in insurance. Like somebody saw that and went, nah. And it's a 50% durability. You can't actually see in the picture, but it's like 55 dura as well. So it's like super scuffed. I'm using the 10. I saw Jay replied, and he was just like, "Oh, the 10 rounders, like what, like being sick kind of thing." And I'm just like, I ain't paying 25k on the flea for someone just for a 20 rounder. Like that's not what this build is about, you know.
I mean, I dig it. What's the ergo on it? It's got to be like in the 40s.
It's like 55.
Damn,
dude, it's high. I like an ADS for ages, and there's no suppressor on it. The
I'm sure
is like off the charts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure it kicks like off the charts. But...
The principle though was that when I was doing the shotgun testing a while back and looking at a little bit of like convergence and return to center time and that kind of stuff, the thing that I realized about shotties, and I've always said that the SVD is actually quite similar to a shotgun in many ways, and it definitely used to be when you were running Punisher 6 on factory.
Yes,
because a 153 with AP20 slugs versus the SVD, like you actually use them in very similar ways. Like you just stick on a laser and you're just running around. Like I know it's weird. It's weird. They're like kind of similar. It's like really high recoil but really high damage. You know, so they're very similar guns actually. Even though they're complete polar opposites, when you put them in this particular quest, and they're really long and like kind of lower ergo and that kind of thing. Where was I going with that exactly? Oh yeah, so the whole point was with shotguns. Unless you're modifying like the 153 or one of the best ones out to its like absolute maximum recoil reduction, you kind of may as well not bother, because the return to center means, so if you have high vertical recoil, kind of in the same way as the pistols we were talking about previously, if you have a gun with say like 150 recoil and a gun with 300 recoil that's the same weapon, when you fire, the one will go up higher than the other, but they'll both come back to the center at the same time. And so the philosophy that I was going with this weapon is like, well, if I'm not going to modify it for recoil or whatever, then I'm going to lose sight picture anyway every time I shoot. And if the return to center time is identical, you know, my PMC could do, 360 spin 3 times with the weapon. If it's going to come back in the same time, I don't really care, right? So if I just focus everything into ergonomics, I've already said to hell with sight picture, because I'm never getting that no matter what with the builds that I'm doing. So instead, we'll go full on ergo instead and see if we can, at least use that to our advantage. So that's basically what I've been doing with it. Yeah, so I've got the build here now. I've just loaded it up. So 62 out of 64 on durability, and I've not had a jam. I've not had a jam yet.
Good for you.
The MOA is 2.45, so it's only 0.4 higher than an M4, and I ain't using it at those ranges anyway. And the ergonomics is 56, and the recoil is 190. So that's the deal. It's
Are you
quite
using LPS?
I am using T46.
Oh man, you are just like, look at you. Look at you.
I'm pushing the boundary. And I might even end up making a video on this, because I'm sure other people are doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Like, you're not really losing anything. I mean, you are a little bit, but it's cheaper. Like it's
Yeah,
it's like throwaway ammo, and it's a throwaway gun for a throwaway quest.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like the philosophy is like, well, and it's the thing we were talking about with breakpoints again.
Right.
It's
It
like
always comes
if
back to breakpoints.
if you're losing sight picture, you're losing sight picture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care whether I have 1,000 recoil or
Right.
105 recoil. If I'm losing sight picture when I shoot, it practically doesn't matter what the recoil is over that point. So I may as well sacrifice as much vertical recoil as I can to get as much ergo, because the difference in ergo does matter and does make a difference. And so it's kind of that thing of like, it's almost like when people are asking me why I'm eating mayo in my stash as well, because I've taken to eating mayo like every raid. Because you come out of a big long raid and you're like, 20 hydration and like 10 energy or whatever. Well, you eat the mayo up to 100%, but the hydration can't go lower than 0.
Right. Right.
So you get 100 food for like 10k off the flea. Like
Right.
it's insane. You could get to use that over like multiple raids, and then you use the water afterwards, and that brings it back up. But we're talking like breakpoints and like thresholds here. So it's like, well, I'm giving up something that doesn't matter on the SVD because I didn't care about the vertical recoil anyway. So I'm giving that up, but I'm getting something back for free basically because it makes no impact to the weapon whatsoever. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting, but I haven't had a jam yet, which is kind of cool. But the reason, so the rationale, just like answering your question about the rounds, because I was looking through the different rounds, and obviously we know now that PS took a nerf from 86 damage to 84 damage. You weren't really killing anybody ever with one shot anyway, unless they were a hatchling and it was within 10 meters. And now you can't play factory with the SVD. It was like not really a thing anyway, but now it just makes it more obvious that you can't one shot someone because the damage just isn't there even from the beginning. So PS, like why use PS now? It gives you more accuracy. So it's basically good over long ranges to get a little bit more MOA. That's fine. But then you've got the difference between LPS and T46. LPS has got 82 damage and T46 has 82 damage and LPS has 81 damage. So it's 1 damage difference. Like who cares? Doesn't matter. And the pen is 41 on T46 and it is 42 on LPS. Penetration can matter a little bit, but who cares? Because it's in that particular range.
Yeah.
We're in the 41 range. 41 is the same as M80, which is great. So we're talking 90% against class 4, but we're talking like 20% against class 5, and 42 is like 30% against class 5. So it's in that like non-sensitive region, right? Because it's not near the number 7 because of the way the game works. So we're away from the number 7. So it doesn't matter which I choose between these two. But T46 is cheaper.
Right.
Technically as a tracer, so I can see where it's going. But you actually get like 5% recoil reduction. Not that I really care. But it's the cheapness of it that matters. But LPS and T46 are way better than PS now. Because PS can never one-shot somebody unless you get a frag. And a frag on PS is an 8% chance. Whereas a frag on LPS and T46 is an 18% chance. So if you penetrate someone's armor in the chest, 1 out of 5 times, you will kill them outright. Whereas with PS, it's only 1 in 10. So LPS and PS are actually now way better than PS, in my opinion. Unless you're fighting against someone with class 4
and
LPS? You're hitting them with multiple shots.
Wait, say that again?
LPS and T46, sorry. LPS and T46 are way better than PS, in my opinion. Yeah. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
And I can't see it on the wiki, but I'm pretty sure T46M has better durability burn. Like it burns less compared to.
Oh, it probably does.
So I wonder too if that modifier has something to do with you not getting jams. Probably not. I don't know, but
probably not. But that's not a. But I actually forgot about that.
Yeah, it's. I don't know how much it really matters in the grand scheme of things, but it's interesting.
Everything matters, Church. Everything matters.
After we just got discussing how one pin doesn't matter.
Exactly. And it doesn't say on the wiki, does it? I think you have to look at it in the game.
You have to look at it in game.
Can you look at it on the actual ammo?
Yeah. Just inspect the ammo.
Like on the wiki?
No.
Even on the ammo's own page?
Not that I can see. I don't think they've updated that. Okay. I think they determined that's not an essential component.
So T46 is 105% heat.
Is that in the red or is that in the blue? I forget.
In the red. Okay. I mean, they're all like mega heat anyway.
Right.
Which is kind of silly, but it's just the way it works.
So it's 5% more than the base of 100, I guess.
Well,
right?
it's plus 105%. So it's
Oh,
like
oh,
double.
okay. Oh, okay, okay.
But that's T46, and I think that's probably the smallest. So LPS is 131. It's even higher.
Hmm.
PS is 118. PS is actually lower than LPS, but higher than T46. And then
The rest are gonna be like insane. I can only
I can't
imagine.
look at the other ones because it won't let me. I've got some SMB. SMB is 134. Do I have any BT? I do. 144 is BT.
Okay.
So T46. T46 is great.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because it's cheap, right? And I don't know. It doesn't. Yeah.
And it's cheaper. And it's
know,
cheaper too. I mean, what does T46 cost?
200.
258 rubles?
You can get it
Dude,
sometimes
it's
cheaper
nutty.
off the fleet. It's yep.
Yeah, that's from Prapor.
That's my classic. I'm leveling sniper skill round.
It's the one that most of the time spends its life lying in the ground in the spawns of shoreline woods and other big maps. Coming out of the most in one at a time. Click, click, click.
Someone out there is like, see, I told you guys T46 was going to be good one day. It finally took 7 patches, but it's a good round, and finally BSG did the right thing. It's now the meta round. Not only for leveling your sniper skill, but also for shooting it out of your guns. No, I really like the SVD. I really like the PSO scope in general. And so I'm probably going to do a very similar build once I get to that quest. PSO, vertical grip, the RGX74U, whatever guard. And maybe I'll look into that godforsaken stock. We might just go rubber butt pad combo with the Mo. We'll see, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is the most ergonomics that you can get, but I mean that thing is really cheap.
probably,
that trolley thing is
yeah,
cheap.
yeah.
Because no one uses it for anything else. It's like it's 8K on mechanic.
It's literally a gunsmith. And maybe like the M700 high ergo build if you want to do that.
Yeah. Someone said, "Oh, there's actually a different one." Yeah, someone mentioned this to me and they said, "Oh, the Viper PDW stock actually gives you more ergo," which I hadn't realized.
What is that?
Yeah, there's another one, but I've never really looked at it if I'm honest. Because it's like it's like even worse, but gives you even more. It's actually quite a bit more expensive, like 11K for mechanic.
Is that new?
I don't know. It's new-ish.
It looks new-ish.
It's one of those ones that you probably just like. It could have been in for 3 patches, but we've just never noticed because it's so god awful for every other gun.
So similar to the other one, the Troy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it looks similar, anyways.
Yeah, so I mean, you can get that build to if you like actually want to use all the best parts that you possibly can. You can get that SVD to 63 ergo. If you use that stock, you use the proper pistol grip, like the best one for the AK style platform. You could probably, and that's using the XOS DRG, so you can probably get an even better. Like if you use the modernized handguard and all this stuff, but I've just put a Cobra on it and whatever. And getting 63 ergo on an SVD is like pretty insane. But it has like 190 vertical recoil.
Speaking of builds, someone mentioned in Discord that they saw a Reddit post that you can now put the CAC suppressor combo, the meta one for the 7.62 by 51 R, or not R, but 51 NATO. You can put it on the mutant now. And they've changed up the mutant builds a bit. A short barrel can only accept the stock standard handguard. You can't do like an RSS handguard or anything like that. That's gone. So if you want to use any other handguard, you got to go with the long barrel. But you can, like I said, you can put the CAC suppressor, the meta combo on there. But I still think the RD74 is better. I don't know. You could maybe argue. What's going on with my mouse? Well, something else.
Because of ergo, or
I think it's both actually. You get better, like you get about 20 points more ergo, and I think the recoil is slightly better on the RD704.
Yeah.
However, that's on the stat screen. The RD704 has a little less horizontal deviancy than the mutant, whereas the mutant has a higher return to center and faster fire rate. I still feel like RD is just like it's more consistent. So I think it's gonna be like generally speaking better overall, but in like some scenarios, I'm sure the mutant beats it. But I mean, what's crazy too is that you can just buy the RD so far at the flea market. It's unlocked that Mechanic 3 versus Skier 4 for the mutant.
Yeah.
So I just don't. I think that gun's gonna get nerfed, the RD. Something's probably gonna change about it. We'll see though. But
I think it's probably gonna get taken off the fleet for sure.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. The other thing I wanted to quickly mention was solar power now. Working on a video for Airwing about solar power because the long story short is because the spawn rates have changed since in between last swipe and this swipe for some of the components you need. The current prices are really cheap for it.
Right.
To build it, because if you remember last swipe, the power filters were extremely expensive, like 500,000 rubles.
Oh yeah, now they're really, really low.
Yes, and I think that's just a spawn rate change thing. So
like the tubes, military tubes too, same thing.
Military tubes. Which one is that? Oh,
they
like
were
the hoses.
You know, the little loop, the military hose thing.
Yeah. Military cable.
They were like 1 million or something, but now they're like the little pipe, the little military. It was called they called them military tubes, aren't they?
I gotta look this up.
I have to look it up now.
We're on it.
Use of building stuff.
I can't see it.
Military corrugated tube. That's the one.
Oh, right. Yeah.
20K?
Yeah. Those
nuts.
Dude, last swipe, they were like 1 million rubles. They were insane. People were like, loot house, go loot house, you know. Oh yeah. So anyways, you need a Peacekeeper 4 to build the solar power unit. And you need water collector. No. What do you need? Let me pull this up. Shoot, because I'm gonna get it wrong. Because see, this is the thing is that I used to think that you have to have a Bitcoin farm to build solar power, which is not the case. It's actually not.
No, you can just build it on its own. Is it a generator?
Generator 3 and Workbench 3. I'm looking at it now.
But it's because I think it's probably because like Bitcoin Farm 2 has the generator 3 as the requirement or something. So it feels that way because that's the way you path through.
Oh, does it? Oh, we might actually.
I think it might. I mean, let me just check.
No. I don't think so. Is
that not right?
I don't think so. Generator.
What do you need for Bitcoin 3? Bitcoin 2, sorry.
Generator.
Bitcoin 2 needs generator 3.
Yes. But the Bitcoin 3 needs solar power.
Correct.
Which is like why I like basically what I'm saying is I've always associated solar power with Bitcoin. But like in theory, you can just build it independently. And this swipe in particular, because the parts are so cheap, it's actually a pretty good thing if you can get there. Well, I shouldn't even say that. It's pretty good. I think it's like 10 million, 8 million-ish rubles to build right now at the prices. Yeah. But your fuel savings goes like you save half on your fuel. Your fuel lasts twice as long, basically. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like I think it's like the first wipe where I'll actually like want to build it. The biggest hurdle is the euros, obviously. Like it requires a crap ton of euros, which you just either have to find them, buy them, or sell for euros on the flea market. But it's kind of interesting. Yeah. And then like,
right. Yeah, I'm just looking at the parts now. It's like military filters 500k,
so
the
like
cables
the parts
500k.
Are cheap.
Phased arrays 400 in total.
Yeah.
So the whole like all the parts are probably like 1.7 or something, and then the euros. It makes a big difference. Now having to do 10 power filters. That was like nearly 4 or 5 mil on its own at one point, if not higher.
And I think in does he have it here? Solar power calculator. I think in he's got hours. Hours to pay for solar 2,222, which would be, oh boy, just bust open the calculator. 222 divided by 24, 92 days, 93 days pay for itself.
Okay, so it's longer, but that's what fuel cost is that assuming?
Worst case scenario, Jaeger's price.
Is Jaeger's price? Okay, I mean it will get there eventually.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, something to look forward to, I guess. I don't know.
I guess so. Because metal fuel tanks right now they are currently about 100k. So we're well on our way.
I mean, if you're like, I guess if you're planning to play the whole wipe, it's probably a good thing to do. I mean, you might as well for completionist sake, and it's a lot better than what it used to be. It's like, it's kind of interesting. So that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, because all of those restrictions were put in place because Bitcoin was like 800k a pop, right?
Yeah.
So now it's kind of funky.
Yeah.
Now they nerfed the time, and then it used to get like 3 a day. Remember? It was insane. You get like 1 every 8 hours with the max farm, and you get like 2.4 million a day or something crazy. It was insane. It was insane, man. You get to the end of the week, you'd have like 15 mil. It was like playing creative mode. It was crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Good times. It's all different now. It's better without it. It's better the way that it is now. Way better this way. It was just stupid before.
Yep.
So yeah. Wish me luck on the rest of Punisher Part 6 with my my funny build.
I'm sure you'll get there.
I'll update and tell everyone how it goes. I'm at 6 out of 15 so far. I met a SEAL Timmy Team 6 for the day. 3 guys around the customs office, like all with pistols, one with an AK, and they went friendly, and then all opened fire with an AKM on me when I came around the corner.
Shame.
They've got SPD'd.
Shame on you.
That definitely helped. I just didn't even VoIP at all. One of them came into chat afterwards, and they were like, "Oh no, one of our people was disconnected, and we were like trying to protect them in the office." I was like, "Oh, it sucks." They're like, "Sorry, we were camping there." I was like, "No, dude, you like doubled my progression in like one raid. It was amazing."
So yeah, how has fighting duos been going better since last time? Anything you've noted or concluded?
Yeah, I've been killing one of them and running away. Honestly, I haven't had as many of those situations because I've not been playing like outside shoreline so much, but I did have 1 or 2. I was using the VPO, and like I killed a guy. I actually wasn't even sure if I killed one of them, but it was I spawned at the Path to Lighthouse extract, and those guys spawned down kind of towards the tunnel, and they came up towards me, and I saw one of them and fired, and I kept shooting 2 or 3 shots, and then I'd like sprint back and then fire one, be looking for them, and then fire once or twice, and then run back, and then they were getting really, really too close. So I had like 1 extra go, and wasn't sure if I killed the guy or not, and like I ran back towards. You just carry on round the top edge of shoreline. You end up with there's the 2 boxes, and there's the scavs who spawn at that point up there.
Yep.
So I ran into them and had to like veer off into the village. So I was like, oh man, now I'm like pinned between 2 scavs who are just like laser beaming me, and they've got me like pinned in their sights from about 150 meters. Like one of them like shot me in the. It was it was brutal. There was 2 of them as well. I was like, oh no, I couldn't even like lean out or anything. I was just like taking shots as soon as I showed like a pixel of my body. And then these other guys on the other side, I don't know if I've killed one or like none of them, and so I got like stuck there for ages. So I just like cut across and left. I was actually trying to do the cult. That's what I really wanted to do. Ended up with these guys like, I don't think they were really chasing me down, but it just ended up in this like weird fight. So I just ended up leaving it. I was like, I'm not even going to go look for the body. There's too many bushes around there. There's no way I'm going to find it easily. I'm not entirely sure where they were because it was such a weird angle. I wouldn't be able to find it. So I didn't do it. Didn't go back and find it. Did my quest and left. And I killed one of them at some point during the engagement. But I was like, it's just not worth it. It's actually just not worth trying to find. Like, unless it's really obvious where their body is, it's just not worth it. But we had like quite a few discussions about it, and some people saying like, oh, I've seen what you were talking about on ScavTalk, and I've had similar experience being on the other side, being in the 3-man or whatever. And they were like, do you think there's actually some value in like bringing nades? because I've like basically ruled out grenades completely at this point. And I just don't use them ever. And so, not that I've really started doing that, but I might, I've started bringing like a flash or something just to like mess people up. So maybe I'd start bringing in like a nade just each time, just to get people to move, because they are good for that. And I used to use them for that.
Yeah.
But then I kind of like lost my confidence with grenades after this patch with the changes, but they're still good outside because they serve that same purpose. Externally, they're just no good indoors. Previously you used to just be able to just shot put one straight through the door next to you, but as a solo you can't do that anymore. But outside it's fine because they won't necessarily hear the pin, they can't push you instantaneously if you're in that kind of engagement at about 20 meters, but you can still make them move, you can still hear them if you throw a nade, and maybe you just kill them straight away, or damage them, or just make them move, because that's the thing, it's like trying to get them to make that audio volume. So I haven't been any situations for that really yet, but killing one and running away, there's no harm in that, it's fine. People's loot also, I've just reminded myself, right? Everyone's loot sucks. Their armor's probably going to be damaged. The guns, the trash that everyone's running. You can just make way more money doing other stuff. So there's actually no problem in just playing it like COD, just pretending that there is no that you can't loot anyone's body, and doing it that way. Like the number of times I've died this wipe so far, just like looting someone with a thick bag, and then another person coming after hearing the shots and killing me is like it's just out of control. I need to like grab the bag and leave way quicker than I have been doing. I've died like 3 times with like a full bag of someone else's loot because I'm still there like shuffling through and like squirreling all the best stuff, and then someone turns up but I weigh like 50 kilos, I'm like fumble my key, forget to drop my bag, and then someone like SVDs me from 10 meters or something. So I don't know, that's the experience, but it's going better, it's going a little bit better. Just like not worrying about like the loot as much is it helps. It kind of sucks, but once you let go, it's freeing.
How many?
Wait for the post raid screen.
How many are you? What, you got to do like 10, or is it 15 with the SVD?
15. Yeah, it's 15. So I've got another 9.
Okay.
I'm doing it on customs mainly. Because with this gun, you kind of need to be a bit closer.
Yeah.
So I want to be. You can't do factory. So plus, I want to be red dot range. And customs has, for the same reason as to why the 125 meter shooter one in heaven is really difficult. It also means that a nice EOTech holographic works wonders.
Are you also doubling up, going dorms?
I'm actually not, because I'm not particularly confident with this gun in dorms. I don't like semi-auto indoors like that. And so I'm going to focus. I'm just going to. I could double up, but I think it'll probably just take me like 5 times longer in total. I'd rather go and do those raids separately personally. And I'll use something else. Like I might end up actually using, because now I've unlocked the MP7. I might even use the MP7 or use the P90 or something. I just need to be able to pre-fire. Like I'm not that good. I'm not really a semi-auto guy anyway. I've learned to be one a bit more in Tarkov. But when I'm inside like that, like I need the ability to pre-fire. I need the ability just to hose people down. My aim's not good enough to be semi-auto. I need the high fire rate. Get as many shots as I possibly can. So the P90 might actually be a good shout. Or the MP7 is also pretty decent. So we'll see. But yeah, not done any dorm skills as of yet, so we'll see. But I'm just roaming the kind of like semi-outdoorsy, like short to medium distance customs kind of areas, like around walls and stuff. It feels like that's the nice range for this gun. Like shooting people, like fighting people at like point blank as well with the SVD is also kind of weird. Like if they're 5 meters away, you're like, I don't want ADS, but like the laser, like with the recoil, it like makes it kind of weird. Like they have to be really close, otherwise it starts to feel a bit scuffed. It's an interesting one. Definitely an interesting one.
Cool. I'll look forward to hearing how that goes for you next week. And
hopefully get it done by then.
I guess I'll be in Shoreline fucking up some barbed wire to get that done. God.
Getting real intimate.
Huh?
Getting real intimate.
Yeah, getting real intimate with some barbed wire, dude. Oh, kill me now. But anyways,
Bob with the barbed wire.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Again, huge shout outs to the YouTube family. I meant to mention this earlier, but part of the thing with being a YouTube partner is you can now get paid for ads that are shown on your videos. I mean, YouTube has a policy now where they show ads even if you aren't partnered. So now we get paid for those. But when I turned on the monetization, there was a feature to have it automatically place the ads. And I was like, sure, that sounds really handy. I don't have to do it myself. And someone commented, it was like, hey, you forgot to put the video in between your ads. And I went and looked at it, and literally every 3 minutes in the 2-hour-long podcast episode, there was an ad break. So I really apologize. And we got to go back and fix all that. So that way you guys can enjoy the ads. I mean, the video, of course. But yeah, a little funny story there at the end. That comment really made my day too. Shout out to that guy, because that was fucking hilarious.
That was funny. Oh boy.
But yeah, hope everyone has a good rest of their week, and as always, see you next time.
Catch you later.